Hi, Angie here. We're going to talk about factoring now. And the type of factoring we're going to do today is factoring trinomials. So first off, what is a trinomial? Exactly 3 terms. Okay. And we're going to use a method called the AC method. And this is what we're going to do when A is not equal to 1. And do you remember A? Yep, it's the leading coefficient. It was ax squared plus bx plus c for just kind of the generic quadratic trinomial. So if a is something other than 1, we're going to do this thing called the AC method. Kind of a combo of things we learned in 5.1 and in 5.2. Okay, so here's the strategy. Here are our steps. So we multiply a times c. A times c. So the leading term times the constant term. Then we're going to find a pair of factors of a times c that add to give b, or subtract to give b depending on, the sign. If c was negative, they subtract. If c is positive, they add. Okay. Now, this next step is kind of weird, right? These first two seem like, oh, okay, I'm okay with that. This third step, we're going to take that bx term in the middle and we're going to rewrite it as the sum of the factors that we find in the step before. Okay, so this is the one we're going to look out for when we do. Okay, and once we've done that, once we break this bx term apart into two separate terms, what happens is the trinomial we started with becomes a 4-term polynomial. And 4-term polynomials we factor by grouping. Okay, so here we go. Let's try one. So my first example is 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. And we're supposed to factor. Instructions would be factor. Okay, so what is A? 2. And C? Remember, C is the one without the variable, so negative 15. Take the sign with it. The fact that C is negative means I'm going to be looking for a pair that subtract. And I need them to subtract to give the value of b, right? And b is positive 7. So a times c, 2 times negative 15, right, is 30. 30 or negative 30. Okay. So I have this 30 value, and I need numbers that multiply to 30 but subtract to give 7. So maybe I just start writing down the pairs of factors like we did in 5.2. So 1 and 30, 2 and 15, right? One of it would be negative. 3 and 10, 5 and 6. Okay, so which pair of these subtract to give 7? Exactly, the 3 and the 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 7x term, and instead of writing a 7x, I'm going to write that as 10x minus 3x. So I'm going to use this pair right here to rewrite that 7x term. And make sure you get the signs right. So 10x minus 3x gives me the positive 7x that I want. Okay, so this is kind of my side workspace. So this is the change I'm going to make when I recopy this trinomial. So 2x squared plus 10x minus 3x minus 15. Okay, this is the star step. Okay. Now I have 4 terms, so we will group. You group the first 2, and then we group the second 2. And then we look for the greatest common factor in the first group, largest thing that goes into 2x squared and 10x. So that would be a 2x, so we factor that out. 2x out of 2x squared leaves behind x. 2x out of 10x leaves behind a 5. So now I see that what's been left behind is an x plus 5. So when I look at my second grouping, right, I will take out a negative 3 so that it leaves behind, right, it changes this sign to a positive, changes the negative 15 to a positive. Those are the same, which is great. So we squiggle under the common. factor it out. So x plus 5 is one set of parentheses. Remember the second set gets the common factors that came out at the start. So that is how this trinomial factors. And once a trinomial factors, that's it. It has a unique factorization. Okay, so you don't have to think about, well, I wonder if I should have done this other one. If you find how it factors, then that's how it factors. And once again, we can always check by multiplying. And maybe we'll just do it a little mentally. We won't write it down. But we'd get 2x squared minus 3x plus 10x for plus 7x plus 5 times minus 3, negative 15. Okay, let's do another example. 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. Okay, so it starts off the same, but it ends differently. So a is 2, c is 3, b is again 7, but this time c is positive. So when I multiply these together, I get a positive 6. So I need a pair of numbers that multiply to positive 6. So multiply to 6. You might have seen something that looks like this. I've seen this from some of my recent high school graduates. The thing they multiply to goes on the top of this x. The thing they add to goes on the bottom. And then you can kind of play around with it. So we're looking for factors of 6. So 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. And we want the pair that adds to give 7. So 1 and 6. Okay, this is my pair. So this 7, came from my 7x. So I'm going to take that 7x and rewrite it as 1x plus 6x. Okay, that's the star step. So rewrite 2x squared plus not 7x, but 1x plus 6x. And then my plus 3. Oh, I hear somebody thinking that very loudly. What if you write 6x plus x? It doesn't matter. That's just fine. When you group, your groupings will be slightly different. Okay, so this line will be different and the next line will be different. Our final answers, though, are going to be exactly the same. Okay, so go ahead and do it with the 6x first if you've already written that. So the way I have it grouped, I'm looking for the greatest common factor between 2x squared and x. Okay, so that would just be an x. We'll factor that out. X out of 2x squared leaves behind 2x. X out of 1x, it leaves behind a plus 1. Make sure you have your placeholder there. My second group is 6x plus 3, so I'll take out a plus 3. And we'll get a 2x plus 1 left over. Squiggle under the common. 2x plus 1 times the leftover factors, x plus 3. Okay. All right, so practice page. Here we go. So if you want to try them on your own, now's the time to hit pause, because here I go. So 3 times 4 is 12. And I need to multiply to 12 and subtract to 1. So that would be a positive 4 and a negative 3. So 3x squared, and I'm going to rewrite my plus x as plus 4x minus 3x minus 4. And then we group. Greatest common factor is an x. Leaves behind 3x plus 4, You can divide it into the terms. Second group, negative 3x minus 4, so, we would take out a negative 1. Leaves behind a 3x, The negative 1 out of the negative 4 makes that positive. By the way, if these parentheses are not exactly the same, you can't pull them out. It only works if they're exactly the same, and they have to be exactly the same in a legal sort of way. You can't just change it to match, It has to make sense that they match. So, squiggle under the common. 3x plus 4 is one of my factors, and the other factor is the x and the minus 1. On number 2, I gave us something else to do, right? A little pre-step, taking out that common factor of x that all three terms have. So 5x squared minus 21x plus 18. Oh dear, these are going to be big. Okay, that's okay. I've got a calculator. I have some other strategies. Okay, so I do 5 times 18 to get 90. So I need numbers that multiply to 90 but add to give 21. Multiply to 90 and add to 21. Well, let's see. 1 and 90, 2 and 45, 3 and 30, 4, 5 and 18. No. The 6 and 15. Oh, there we go. So I found one, so I'm going to go ahead and stop. 6 plus 15 is 21. Okay, so remember what we do then is we're going to take this negative 21x and we're going to rewrite it as negative 6x minus 15x, or maybe in the other order. Now, I haven't given myself enough room, so I have a different color here. I'm going to go ahead and circle this guy so I remember at the end. And then I'm just going to kind of work on this part, this 5x squared minus 21x plus 18. So 5x squared minus 6x minus 15x plus 18, and group. And looks like x is the only thing common in the first one. Oh, so I can use this as a clue, right? I'm really hoping to have a 5x there, and I have negative 15x and a plus 18. So to go from negative 15x to 5x, if I factor out a negative 3, right, that will get me what I need in the first spot. So this is kind of a, is this going to work moment? And we're going to check. We're going to see. So negative 3 out of negative 15x leaves behind positive 5x. Negative 3 out of positive 18 leaves behind negative 6. Oh, and it did work. So there's our common 5x minus 6. Here's a set of parentheses for the things we took out, x minus 3. And then, remember, we started the whole process by taking this x up here out. So I put it back right here. Okay. Circle it so you know those two go together. Okay, 4 more. Probably better pick up the pace here. So 25 times 2 equals 50. And we want them to subtract to give 23. Oh, hey. So these guys, right, will subtract to give me 23. We're in y's now, so whatever. 25y squared. How about so I'll do a negative 25y and a plus 2y. So that if these guys combined, it would get me back to my negative 23y. And then a minus 2. I've taken it from 3 terms, turned it into 4 terms. So now we group. 25y comes out. Y minus 1 stays behind. How about a plus 2 comes out? Leaves behind a y minus 1. Squiggle under the common. Y minus 1 times 25y plus 2. Okay. 4, what did I give you extra to do on 4? Well, maybe a couple of things. First thing I see is I would really like it better if it was in standard form. So I'm going to recopy it and put my b squared term first, my b term second, and my constant term last. And then additionally, it looks like a 3 can come out of all of the terms. So I'm going to take out the common factor of 3. Kind of like we did on number 2, we took out the x. So 3 out of the 18 leaves behind 6b squared plus 7b minus 3. Okay. Now we're going to do our AC method on this trinomial left inside the parentheses. So 6 times 3 is 18. So multiply to 18 15 and subtract, because it was negative, to give 7. So how about 2 and 9? So we take that 7b, and it's positive. So that means I need a positive 9b and a minus 2b. So I'll circle my 3 so I remember in a minute. 6b squared plus 9b minus 2b minus 3. And then we group. Greatest common factor in the first group, 3b, goes into both 6b squared and 9b. And then to figure out what gets left behind, you can do the division. So 6b squared divided by 3b is 2b. And that would be a plus 3. Then I look at my second group. Okay, it's only going to work if I can leave behind 2b plus 3. So we'll factor out a negative 1. That will do it. 2b plus 3. So I have the same thing in the parentheses. So I write that once. Right? It factors to the front. Second set gets the other pieces, 3b minus 1. And then we'll bring down that 3 that we took out at the beginning. Okay, 10 times 1 is 10. And we need to add to give negative 7. So 5 and 2. So this will be negative 5x minus 2x. Okay. So 10x squared minus 5x minus 2x plus 1. Take out the 5x, leaves behind a 2x minus 1. So this is almost the same, it's just everybody has the wrong sign, so I'll factor out a negative 1 to fix that. 2x minus 1, squiggle into the common, 2x minus 1 times 5x minus 1. What's the common factor you can take out first? Looks like a 2x to me as well. 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. So we're going to multiply to 15 and add to 2 or subtract to 2. So 3 and 5. And then it looks like I need that 5 to be the negative 1, so the negative 2x comes out. So circle my 2x so I remember. So 3x squared plus 3x minus 5x minus 5. 3x is the greatest common factor in the first group, minus 5 for the greatest common factor in the second group. 3x minus 5 for the second, and then, right, remember that 2x from the start, and put a big box around the answer. All right, so that's factoring trinomials when your leading coefficient is not 1.